Hey folks, welcome back. This is Joel, and we are continuing with our discussion on firepower. In this one, we'll venture into one of the meat of the whole firepower discussion, which is the policies, right? The traffic policies or the access policies, to be very specific, right? So, yeah, that being said, what do we have till now? So, we have done a lot of things. You can probably go down and check my channel as well, where there's a small playlist which I've been building, where we have done quite a lot already, right? We have set up the initial FTDs, we have set up high availability, we have set up NAT, right, which we did in the previous video. We set up the interfaces, the routing, and all of that in the previous videos, right? Which is cool. So in this one, we'll be doing access policies. So let's, I think, get started. I mean, there's nothing new from the I have retained everything as is from the previous video, which is the NAT video, right? So we've got some NAT running, NAT policies running right now, right? And we'll probably be making use of that as well in this one. That being said, so just to give you like a glimpse of what we have as of now, right? Let me quickly show you that. So as of now, we've got nothing but I have I've set up the HTTP on these two hosts, which are the two hosts, DMZ host 1 and DMZ host 2, right? I've set up HTTP, which means they will be accessible via HTTPS, right? Let me show you that. There you go, right? Something very similar for the DMZ host 2 as well. So I've set up that so that we can use a little bit of that for the access part. The other thing which I also want to show you before we do any policies is the SSH part, right? The SSH part, which means from the inside zone, we are able to right now SSH into our hosts, right? Mainly we'll be using I think the host 1 or maybe let me think, maybe the host 2. I think we'll mainly be using the host 2 in this particular video, but yeah, so maybe let me show you the SSH working as of now. Let me just clear the screen a bit, right? So we've got I don't know, maybe 192, right? So we've got let's not ping, probably let's do SSH. So we've got SSH running for DMZ host 1, which is 192.168.10.90, I believe, right? So this one, right? Let me just cancel this. And the second one is 99, but this is running on port 42s, right? Remember we did this because we did it using the manual NAT, right? So there you go. So this one also should work. There you go, it's working. And we also actually we have also set up a static NAT for the second host, right? That's why we should also be able to do SSH via, I think, this guy, if I'm not wrong, right? This is literally the same as this one, right? You can see it's giving me the prompt, so it's looking good. So this is nothing but the static NAT which we set up in the previous video. This is nothing but the manual dynamic NAT which we set up along with the port translation as well. This is also for host 2. These both are for host 2 and this one's for host 1, right? I just wanted to give you a glimpse what we have as of now before we go with the policies to show you what will happen after we go and configure the policies. That being said, let's get started. We'll go down to, where do? We go to policies, we'll go to access control over here, right? Remember we have set up this initial policy when we first time installed our FTD, so we are good to go and edit that itself, right? We don't have to create something new. Before doing that, let's go to this HTTP responses and the block response page. Let's switch to system generated. That way we'll get that block page, right, which is FTD's default one. We'll get that. And let's also go to probably advanced tab here and maybe click on the maximum URL. No, let's click on the general settings here, right? And we'll say allow the interactive block to bypass the blocking for actually we'll change this to like 0, right? So this will be useful as well. I'll show you where it will be useful later, but for now let's just do that. And let's start with our actual policies, right? We have not yet configured policy, we just did a small couple of settings so that it's easier for our lab to be understood well, right? Cool. So let's add the first rule. So this is how it looks, right? This is your current when we set up the first time, we did not really put any rules. We just created what you say, a default policy, right? But we did not create any rules. So now let's go and add a rule. And what's the first rule is going to be? First, we are going to say restrict something, restrict access to the DMZ2 or the host 2, right? Let's say this should be better, right? So we are going to say restrict access to DMZ host 2. Okay, so that looks good. Let's actually grab this one. I forgot the URL which I'm using, so it'll be easier. Just keep this open as well, right? So these are the URLs. Anyway, let's keep it over here somewhere at the down so that we can use it. Yeah. So we are basically restricting the access to the DMZ host 2. So we'll have to change this action to block, right? Networks. What do we do in networks? So in networks, we are going to select our jump host, because from here only we'll be initiating all the connections, right? So let's select the jump host as the source network, and let's probably go to let's try URL filtering kind of a situation here, right? So let's go to URL over here and let's block the DMZ host 2. So what is the URL of that guy? It is nothing but this one. So let's copy this one, right? So I've created a local DNS entry instead of like adding a DNS server. If you have a DNS server, go ahead and add it, right? So we'll create a new URL object. So right now I don't think you will have it here, but see, you can also block not just specific URLs, you can block the whole category as well, right? That's a cool thing about all these application firewalls. It gives you all these cool features, right? I can block sports, I can block social media and so on. In our case, see, the URLs, there is nothing, so I'm going to go and create a URL object, right? I'm going to put the URL over here, which is this one, and I'm going to say DMZH2, and let's call this as DMZ URL, DMZH2 URL, right? So I'm going to save that one. So once that is saved, we should be able to add this guy over here. So there you go, we've added him to the rule. So I think we are good, right? Anything else? Maybe let's see, do we have anything else? Probably let's go on logging and let's click on log at the beginning of the connection, right? You see, you don't even have an option to log at the end of the connection, because because of the block, right? Whenever you see a block here, you will not have this checkbox, because the connection is not even established, so there is no question of logging at the end of the connection, right? So you basically have only one thing, right? Just to see what we have done, we have kind of let's just add it and then inspect it. I think that's better. Let's add it first. So here it's easier to look at, right? So you can see you are restricting the access to that DMZ host 2 from the jump host, right? And so anything coming from the jump host to this particular URL, we are basically blocking. Sweet, let's go with the second rule. So we just added one rule. Let's add all our rules and test it in one shot. Otherwise, it's going to simply take time, because we have to save it and deploy it and stuff, right? So let's do the second one. What we are going to do is DMZ web access, right? So in DMZ web access, what we are going to do is we'll again go to networks, right, over here, and we will what we want to do here is let's give HTTP access, right, for two of the networks. Which are those two? One is going to be DMZ host 1 and host 2. Do I have it here? Yeah, so I have it here. Let's add this to the destination. Let's add this guy also to the destination. But I have a feeling the DMZ host 2 here might not be what it is. So let me see, give me a second. Yeah, anyway, in the first rule it anyway gets blocked, so let's not worry much about DMZ host 2. Technically I think I'll have to use the translated IP here, but anyway, in the first rule itself, the HTTP access for DMZ host 2 gets blocked, right? So because the URL is getting blocked, so I think we should still be good. Anyway, so let's continue. So what we are trying to do in this second rule is that so we want to allow, right, HTTP access, and I want to put both the host here because I wanted to show you the order in which the rules are executed, right? So that's why I've selected host 1 and host 2. for now, and let's move towards what. So anything else we've got to select here? We'll have to select the ports, right? We want the ports here, so let's go to the ports, and here I want HTTP, HTTPS. Maybe I can even select FTP as well, right? I can add it to the destination, right? And as usual, there is one more thing we can check out here, is we can also check out inspection, right? So inspection is basically, it has two interesting policies. Again, we'll probably check this out in detail later in other videos, but here just for our quick usage, right? Intrusion policy is related to your malware stuff, right? Blocks malware, and file policy is for, you know, blocks like any specific files which you want it to be blocked, right? But you'll have to create separate policies for this, and you can attach, or but for intrusion policy, Cisco already gives you some default policies, right? So this is literally, think in terms that, you know, it's nothing but your traditional malware policies, right? It will block certain harmful IPs on the internet and some harmful, you know, content on the internet, right? So traditionally we normally use you know, balanced security and connectivity. I mean, but in this case, I mean, let's go with security over connectivity as well. We could use anything depending on your use case. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you where you can select the default malware policies and you can use that. In our case, I don't expect this thing to get blocked, because, you know, our particular destination is obviously doesn't have any kind of malware, right? So that should be good, and we can probably go down to the logging and you know, also in this case log at the end of the connection, right? So that is there. So are we good here? So we've got the ports, we've got the networks, right? Basically from anywhere going towards host 1 and host 2. I think we are good. So let's go and add this guy, right? We'll again verify the rules, not to worry. So let's add one more rule now. Let's do one more thing. So SSH2, let's say the DMZ host 2 again, right? What do you want to do here? You want to allow this, right? You want to allow this one. So in the networks, let's go to the networks, and let's select the host 2. First we'll select the source, right, which is going to be the general, right? Add here, and the destination, give me a second. Yeah, so the destination is going to be your host 2, right? This is the one. So what we are saying is we want SSH from this particular jump host, right, to or this general network, the inside network, towards the DMZ H2, right? This general network is an object which we created in the previous video, but it is nothing but the inside network, or basically the network on which this jump host is sitting, this Windows VM over here, right? Anyway, so we've got the you know, DMZ host 2 here, and do we want anything? So that was the networks. Let's see in application, right? This time let's use applications, and here we've got quite a lot of applications, and we want to SSH, we want to allow SSH. So let's select SSH. You would get a bunch of these. So let's select all these guys and let's add it to the rule. Right, I think this one did not get added. Yeah, so there we go. We've added them to the rule, and probably let's go to the logging as usual and log at the end of the session, right? Okay, that looks good, right? Again, we can probably go down to, you know, inspection. So every time you're allowing something, right, be careful and make sure that you have some inspection happening, some intrusion policy, right? In this one, let's use the other one, maybe by balance security and connectivity, right? So it's kind of like a it's going to balance between connectivity, and it's not going to like blindly close all the connections or give a lot of false positives. So that's why it's called balanced. Anyway, so we've got inspection also set up, so I think we are good here. Let's add this guy as well. So there you go. We've got 3 rules. Maybe let's go with one more, right, before we close this one. The fourth rule is going to be, let's say we want to block SSH by port, right? SSH by port. Remember, I showed you in one of the use case here, the last use case, I showed that, you know, I am able to SSH using port 222. So maybe we'll have to check that. Not sure that would work, but yeah, let's see. So this is something which we can try, blocking SSH by port, right? So let's probably go for a block here, right? And what else? So let's select the ports, right? We'll go to the ports, and let's say SSH, remember we have created this port before, so let's use this. We have created this in the NAT video, right? So we can probably check that out. Anyway, so we've selected that, I think, and we'll probably go to the logging, right? And log at the end of start of the connection and probably go and add it. Right, that's it. These are the 4 rules. Just to verify, the first one is restricting access from the jump host to, you know, the DMZ host 2's URL, right? That should be blocked. Second one is allowing the DMZ. So these both are allow rules, right? So it is allowing the web access for HTTPS, HTTP, and FTP. But interesting thing is, the first rule will kick in, and as a result, the DMZ H2, right, you'll not be able to access anyway, because the first rule will kick in and it will act first, because it always operates top to down, right? The first rule, second, third, fourth, like this. So you will only be able to access web access of H1, right? Third one is SSHing to DMZ H2, right? We should be able to do that, right, using the 10 IP whatnot, right? The 10.10.10.99, we should be able to SSH into DMZ H2. And the last one is a block where we are preventing the SSH on port 42. Now I'm not very sure about this. I'll have to check this myself. Maybe this might work. So, but anyway, let's try this. So we've got this. Let's save this one, right? And I believe it will get applied to both the guys, both the firewalls, because it's kind of you know, I think applied on both this particular policy. But let's see. So we are going to deploy now. Right, well, okay, so we get an option. So I'm going to select only HA1 here. I'm not going to put it on the second one, right? I'm not actually using FTD HA2 for anything yet. Maybe we will in the future. For now, let's just concentrate on HA1. So I'm going to pause the video until it finishes, then we'll come back and test everything. Alright guys, so looks like it's completed. Let's quickly do the testing. Let's open the window of all our policies here. Let's clear this as well, right? So there are our policies. Yeah, there you go. Let's just double click on that one. All right, so it's here. The first one is we need to check if we have restricted access to from the jump host to the host 2. So let's check that. So you go to HTTP, I guess. Yeah, it's not HTTPS. So, and it's DMZ. So it's DMZ host 2. There you go. Right? Awesome. First one is validated. You are attempting, and you know, Firepower is blocking it for us. Now, if you are not 100% sure that is what is happening, you can also go and check here somewhere in the logs. Let's see. So I think this is the policies. There should be some logs here. I think actions, alerts. Let's just try to find it. Give me a second. Right, so it's actually here under analysis. It's kind of hidden over here, right? So let me just open this in a new tab here. And that's where you can actually see the logs of everything getting blocked, right? Using APIs and stuff, you can actually pull all these statistics, you know, into a fine report, and you can do some much more fun stuff, right? There you go. See the blocked to 192.168 10.99. You can see it got blocked, and you know, you can see that stuff, right? On the right hand side, if you probably scroll to the right here, you can see the URL which got blocked as well over here. Sweet. Awesome. Let's try the second one now. What's the second one? So for second one, what we could see is probably, let's do the same thing, but for host 1, it should not give us this block thing, right? It should actually allow us. So it's going to be HTTP, it's DMZ host 1, right? So that's the home page of host 1, and there you go, right? It is asking us the username, password, which means if I provide that, yeah, see, it did not block for us, right? Host 2 it blocked, host 1 it did not block, because that is our that's what the policy says. And probably FTP we can't try it because it's all my clients are routers, but you could give that a try as well. Let's do the third one, which is SSH to DMZ host 2. Right now, if we have that running, so if you do SSH Cisco, and what is a host 2, which is 10.10.99, right? So let's see if this works. Yeah, there you go. I got the reply and I'm in the box, right? There you go. So it means that this was allowed as well. which is a good thing, right? So that's the third one, right? Which means our third rule works as well, which is allowing SSH from general network to DMZ host 2, right? Because we have allowed applications here. So that seems to work as well. The last one is, I think this should not work, blocking SSH by port. So let's do the same thing, but let's give the port number as 42s. So technically this should not work. Yeah, there you go. See, you're getting connection refused because on that particular port we have disabled it, right? So that was a quick verification. Now if I refresh this, we should have more logs, right? Let's refresh this for a minute. Yeah, it's coming out. There you go. See, you have a bunch of things. You have all the blocks, you have all the permits, right? So this is how you can check out everything. This is how you can actually check out all the blocks and permits which are happening on your device, right? Again, if you're actually having a firewall in an environment, you're probably gonna have a lot more than this, but yeah, this is a quick way to check out all the blocks and all the allows, right? So that's mainly it, guys. So I mean, go ahead and play around, add more stuff to it. We did not touch much on the security intelligence and the rest of the stuff, which we will check in the later section of this series. All right, have a good one. Bye.